If you tell someone about what Dredge is, they might not really understand the appeal at first. A boat game that combines fishing minigames with the inventory management of a typical ARPG. Personally, this was already enough to sell, as I am the kind of person who plays Terraria by crafting a rod and making a beeline to the ocean. But for the majority of players who aren't sold yet, there are also mysterious chthonic forces lurking in the deep. Dredge released in 2023, and I really enjoyed the game. It now has 2 DLCs available, the Pale Reach and the Iron Rig, so I decided to head back to the Great Blue and try them out. With Amnesia, you wash ashore on the island of Marrow. The mayor of a small town lends you a dinky boat in return for your services as the new local fisherman. Before you set out, he warns you not to stay out after dark as the waters can be unsafe. At first, everything seems somewhat normal, but there is a slight undertone of wariness or fear around the town. Dredge does an excellent job of setting the tone and telling a story while also allowing your imagination to spiral. The fishing mechanics are varied enough to prevent things from ever getting too stale within its short runtime, and the inventory management is secretly the biggest and most well-crafted element of the game without feeling overbearing. I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and I hope that more people give it the small amount of time that it asks for. As the new local fisherman, it is up to you to catch and sell all kinds of fish. The core gameplay loop on a day-to-day level looks like this. First you go fishing. Thereafter you sell your fish at the market, and you then spend your money upgrading your equipment. However, there is also an outer loop in which you help the locals of the island, often dealing with the evil creatures inhabiting their waters. There are 5 islands to explore, 6 if you include the DLC. And I especially liked that each island came with its own mechanic that needed to be learned in order to avoid danger. I also enjoyed the refreshing way the game handles progression through day and night cycles. Time doesn't tick naturally, it will only progress while you are moving or fishing. This may seem like it has no relevance, but as the mayor mentioned before, being in the dark is dangerous. While you're in the dark, your madness meter, as indicated by the eye at the top of your screen, will build up. Higher levels of madness mean more and more supernatural occurrences, all of which threaten the safety of your ship. Because of this, you will likely only want to be out during the day while it is safe. Everything in this game has a cost. Moving and fishing costs time, having access to consumable costs space, and using your chthonic abilities increases your madness. In essence, it costs your sanity. There is a push and pull to every action, and you need to decide whether each thing you do is worth it or not. There are, however, ways to reduce this cost. Time spent can be reduced by upgrading your gear. Having better rods and a more powerful engine allows you to catch fish and move further in a shorter span of time. These upgrades are an important part of the outer gameplay loop, as having a faster boat means that you can travel to islands that are further away within the space of a single day. I found this to be a really well-designed solution to the progression barrier. Many games will use combat, puzzles, or a Metroidvania-style approach to limit when the player can go to different places. Here, they use time. Running out of daylight while in the middle of the ocean could be a death sentence. This forces your boat to be at a minimum level before you can progress deeper into the game. This implementation fits so perfectly into the world that I didn't notice it while playing. You start with just a basic rod, only usable in coastal fishing spots. As you get more money, you can buy new rods, allowing you to catch fish in different habitats. Each habitat has its own unique marine life. There are also many different minigames you may play while fishing, which reduce the amount of time it takes to catch. You may even catch a trophy fish. Aside from using a rod, you can also deploy crab pots and collect them days later, or hang a net out the back of your boat to catch fish as you drive. By giving you multiple methods of catching fish, it allows you to make money in whichever way you enjoy. But some quests may ask you to catch specific fish, and each one can only be caught using its own method, so you can't go through the entire game only using one technique. This isn't an issue though. If anything, it makes the game more interesting, as it forces you to learn and practice with new methods. It may seem weird at first, but the most exciting thing for me to talk about in this game is the inventory management. It has been designed with such definitive purpose. It is constantly reminding you that you can't have everything you want, or at least, not all at once. Your inventory is displayed as a grid. Each item you want to hold has its own shape that needs to fit into this grid if you want to be able to take it with you. Anything you can't store is dropped back into the water, never to be seen again. This kind of inventory system is very commonly used in ARPGs to limit how much you can loot at a time, so it's certainly nothing new. It often has you rearranging your bag to fit another piece in, or forcing you to choose between items so that you get the most bang for your buck. I want to make the argument that, while Dredge is undoubtedly a fishing game, where it truly shines is how tightly it has coupled the usage of the inventory with the core gameplay loop. This grid directly represents your boat. That means that there isn't any more space than this. In other games, this is just your bag, and the items you choose to equip on your character go into dedicated slots that exist outside of this bag. It's a little trickier here, because instead of having a dedicated slot, certain squares in the grid are marked as being usable for different parts. What this means is that if you have 6 engine squares, you can choose to fill up as many of those squares as you want with engine parts. The more you fill in, the faster you will be able to move, but the less space you will have in your ship to catch fish. This alone may not seem like a big deal, but you have more than just an engine to worry about. Rods, nets, and lights are all other parts you need to consider. I want to go back to what I said earlier. Consumables cost space. Consumables such as explosives, crab pots, or if you have the Iron Rig DLC, repair kits, all take up space on your boat if you want to be able to use them. This can get a bit annoying because you need to constantly manage how many additional tools you want to bring out with you. It's not much, but sometimes collecting and redeploying your crab pots can get a bit tedious because they decay over time and need to be taken to the shipyard for repairs. Speaking of repairs, I would like to cover how damage works. It keeps in line with your inventory being an essential part of the game's design. When you take damage, a random square of the boat is destroyed. If it contained an item or installed ship part, then it is lost or disabled, respectively. You can no longer use that square until you make your way back to town and pay for it to be repaired. Take too many hits and your ship will sink, sending you back to your last save. As you upgrade your ship, you will expand your max space, get more dedicated squares, and increase the amount of hits you can take before sinking. As a whole, I love this system. It always feels strange to say, but this game is all about your inventory. It may initially feel like a game about catching and selling fish. However, when I think about it, inventory management is the real root of the game. Of course, if you boil it down, you aren't just going to be left with the inventory. There are other key aspects too. But I think that this is the true heart of Dredge. I enjoy the stark artwork contrast between the basic 3D models used for gameplay and the beautifully painted, gouache-inspired characters. The character art is phenomenal, and I wish there was more of it. If they had collectibles, or something to find that unlocked developer artwork, I would have gone out hunting for them just to see more of this world depicted in this art form. I'm not going to spoil anything here, but I do want to say that while the main questline is good and the characters are engaging, I felt like it had a bit of a flat ending. Don't let this put you off. As always, the ending is just one part of the whole story, and a majority of the story was interesting enough to keep me curious about what was coming next. Many of the side quests are not explained at all. I'll use one of the first as an example. You are asked to deliver a parcel to someone on another island. The parcel is described as feeling damp, with something seeping through the paper. Once you deliver it, the recipient quickly tears open a corner to peek inside. They get very happy, you get paid. That's it. This kind of design sits right at home in this Lovecraftian world, where so much is left to your imagination. This feeling extends into the night where the greatest horror of all is the horror of the unknown. I'm going to wrap it up here for the story and world, because I think it's best to discover it all for yourself. Dredge currently has 2 DLCs available, the Pale Reach and the Iron Rig. Each of these are unique and add decent content to the game in very different ways. The Pale Reach adds a new island to explore. It falls into the same outer loop design as the rest of the islands, so much so that it almost feels like it could have been part of the base game if it was better incorporated. Set in a new icy region, you will need to buy some new equipment to be able to fish there. You don't benefit from using that gear anywhere else, so it makes the entire island feel like a side quest. It doesn't add much above that aside from 1 or 2 new items that you might enjoy using. The iron rig, on the other hand, is a completely new experience in this world. A new oil rig has popped up, but all its supply ships have sunk. It's up to you to find the supplies and help them to get this rig functional. Eventually, oil begins to spill around each of the islands in the base game. There are new fish that can only be found in this oil and that require an upgraded rod. This DLC remixes the formula while also adding a lot of new boat parts, fishing gear, consumables, and upgrades. You might be wondering if this disrupts the natural upgrade flow of the base game, but it really doesn't. It has been designed in such a way that makes the game feel enhanced rather than skewed. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this game, even if it may seem as basic as collecting fish. The core gameplay loop consistently feels rewarding. Each new engine part or fishing rod feels impactful and makes you excited for your next upgrade. Trying to maximize the yield you bring home before the danger of night approaches creates a great sense of tension in a game that otherwise would feel a bit too peaceful. Dredge is a fantastic game that has taken the first step towards defining what a game could be if the most important part of it was inventory management. With regards to the DLC, I highly recommend that you do play with the iron rig, as it increases the depth of the gameplay model without taking anything away from the core experience. The Pale Reach is alright, but ultimately, it's just more of the same. If that appeals to you, then it will certainly be worth a try. I don't recommend Dredge for anyone that dislikes sorting or managing their inventory, but I fully recommend Dredge for those who want to try something new, unique, and mysterious. If you have enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, my channel is right here. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see next, and I'll see if I can make it happen. Thanks for watching.